There will be days where I will wish I was single.
Yeah.
And I will go, I really miss, why did I do this?
Have you ever had that thought, JJ?
Every day.
No. I do not make big thoughts or big decisions at night when I'm alone, because in the morning, everything is different. The hard part is, which is the chicken, which is the egg? Are there not a lot of great guys, and therefore we experience that as single women and we talk about it? Or do we talk about it so much that we can't see them?
Did you have like a I Heart Jesus like t-shirt?
I mean, I put Jesus front and center because I'm like, that's just the tip of the iceberg for what you're going to have to deal with. If you're not into Jesus, you're not going to be into any of this, bro.
Yeah. All right, guys, this week's guest is someone that I've been so excited to have on the show for years, Annie F. Downs. And you guys are about to be in for it because, yeah, she's a podcast host of one of the best podcasts out there. Definitely shout out and go listen to That Sounds Fun. She's a speaker. She's an author. She's so many amazing things. And, of course, an incredible person. And today we are talking about her singleness journey. And it's going to be a really special episode. You guys have been asking for this. So let's dive in. Annie, what's up, girl? You're here.
I'm so glad to be here. This is so fun. Thank y'all for having me.
This is such a fun time. JJ, how are you feeling?
I'm pumped. Is this like a Annie Downs tells all kind of episode?
Let's see.
Is this a tell-all?
Let's see. We'll see what happens by the time we're done.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
No, this has really been years in the making. Like, we connected years ago. Do you remember the first time we connected? Because I
don't know.
So you messaged me because we were both on Fun Therapy, Mike Foster's show, and you reached out to me. And because that was a very vulnerable thing for both of us to do, probably still out there somewhere on the internet. And I was really honored that you'd reach out. That was probably the most vulnerable I've ever been. Have you even heard that interview?
Yeah, I did, actually.
You did?
Of course, I had to do my research.
Yeah. I mean, that one, I was like, we stopped recording and he said, I think you need to go to onsite.
Wait, really?
Which is like a multi-day counseling experience. Yes.
Was that his nice way of saying like, Annie?
Yeah, he was like, I mean, we did not leave the table. We stopped recording. He said, hey, I really appreciate you sharing all that. Have you heard of onsite? And
Wow.
I was like, yeah, I think so too.
I think maybe I knew.
I was like right in the middle of it being pretty painfully ghosted.
Man.
And I didn't, and it was the first time it happened. It was not the last time. It was the first time it happened to that degree. And I did not know what to do. Like, I didn't know what to do with my body. Like, having someone just leave and not say bye that was so foreign to me that I felt like I didn't understand me either.
Was that like a relationship you were in or somebody? Oh, really? So you were in a relationship and they just...
We were starting.
Wow.
And I had gone to visit where he lived. He had come to visit here. And then he disappeared.
Ghosting. Did you ever hear from him? Ever?
Yeah. That was... Here's the good news about ghosting.
Oh, wait, tell us.
Almost always... there is an inciting incident that requires the person who does the ghosting to have some sort of confrontation with you, especially if you share community.
Yep.
So to everyone who would ever consider ghosting, here's what happens. You will have to reconcile at some point your behavior to the person. And so there was he left at the end of October and in February, there was a reason we had to interact.
A reckoning.
A reckoning. For both of us, honestly. It was bad for both of us.
Did you go to on-site in between?
January.
Okay.
Yeah. I went in January. And so then he put himself in a situation that required us to be in the same place. And a person at that place that was really close to me, another leader, he said to him, you can't come here until you talk to Annie.
Wow. Okay, so we call it ghost busting. Like if you've been ghosted, that's like a much more serious one, it sounds like. Obviously, like you go out on one date or you match on Hinge, like it can happen.
Yes. And I don't actually think that's ghosting. I think that's just like we tried and it didn't.
Right.
Yeah.
What about after like one date?
I think even after one date, I think the if you want to do levels of behavior, the best behavior is, thank you so much for last night. It was so fun. I don't think we'll be going out again, but I wish you well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or I really enjoyed taking you out last night. I wish you well in all you do. I'm going to move on.
Yeah.
Or I'll see you sometime.
Yes.
I think there's
sometime.
one even up to like 1, 2, 3 dates.
Yeah.
I think best behavior is just say you're leaving, just say bye.
Yeah.
I don't think it's proper ghosting until you're probably 3+ in. And then that's what I've chosen to label is less than 3. You don't have to say anything, but I wish you were the type of guy that did.
So it's kind of a question of owing.
Yes.
Right? Do you owe a response?
Yes.
At all?
Yes.
Explanation. And obviously the more you get to know them,
I would say, I love this conversation.
Yes,
I would say, I usually say ghosting is when you've actually met them and go on a date.
Oh,
and
you're a one date?
I'm a one date.
Okay.
But, because a lot of people go to the extreme of like, it's on a dating app and you message a few times and then you never hear from them. I'm like, that's not ghosting. If that's the case, then everybody in my DMs, I'm ghosting at all times.
Yeah.
I ghosted my mom today.
Anybody who, I would say to our friends, if you're texting back and forth on an app and y'all stop and you call that ghosting, then your life is not hard enough. That's like, don't bring drama.
Yeah.
You don't need that kind of drama. He just stopped talking to you.
Totally.
He met someone else. He stopped using the app. He threw his phone in the ocean. You have no idea.
No idea.
Let it go. If it stays on the app,
let's not spend time
that's
thinking
not ghosting.
and downward spiral. Totally.
No.
But I think that in general, there are layers of ghosting.
Yes,
I just
agree.
think it's always proper behavior, in my opinion, to say, hey, there's I'm not interested.
Yes.
It's especially bad after a first or second date if the person who does end up ghosting you says I'd love to see you again, and then they say
you
nothing.
never hear from them.
That's where it's like, no, if you change your mind, then you definitely need to say something.
Now help me with this. What is so if we're the person who doesn't want to be in the thing anymore, your highest best behavior is just say goodbye. Say a proper polite goodbye.
Yeah.
Don't be serious. If just say bye. What if you're the person that has been ghosted? The problem is if you sent the last text, yeah, it was so fun to see you. I hope we do it again. And then you never hear from him again. Do you need to, that's where I've struggled with what's my next move when he has disappeared.
I would ghost bust.
We're interviewing Annie, by the way, so just keep that in mind. She's such a great conversationalist. We have hot seat questions for you.
Oh, sorry.
No, but I totally think, and that's why we call it ghost busting. You've been ghosted by somebody. Are you allowed or encouraged to reach back out to them and let them know, I didn't appreciate that? You're allowed to.
I think that's part of leaving them better than you found them.
We actually are on team. Someone in that situation, you're allowed, Annie, to message a guy saying, and what would you say?
Now, I wouldn't do it in a place of spite or to be mean or I got you and I'm going to call you out. But this is more about calling them higher and leaving them better than you found them of hey, it's not appropriate to do that. Yeah. And so be hey, I'm going to assume that from the no communication, you're not interested in moving forward. And that's totally okay.
Yeah.
From my perspective, I think it's a kind gesture to just let that person know that you're not interested. And I'm all about calling people higher. And I really think that you should consider doing that moving forward.
That's really good. Yeah.
And so just saying that, because you're not hey, I'm not butthurt about it. It's good. You're not interested.
Need an explanation.
Yeah.
Your behavior is telling me everything.
Totally.
So that's whenever I have friends who say, I need him to explain what happened. I was like, I can tell you. He doesn't want to date you.
It filters them out on the get-go.
Yes, that's exactly
their
right.
silence is the answer that you're looking for.
But for you, if you need hey, I'd like to close this up well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's put
sorry.
Annie on the hot seat.
No, I love it.
No.
We got the ghosting.
I'll start out. So we have some fun questions that were hidden for you.
Yes.
And we'd like to just put you on the hot seat.
Okay, I'm ready.
Get to know you a little bit more. I can go first. I have one.
You go for the first one.
Okay, you ready? Have you ghosted?
I have not.
Ever?
No.
Wow.
I am an over communicator if I'm anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
Well, we both have ghosted, so I haven't, Danny.
No,
I have blood on my hands for sure.
No, I haven't done that.
Okay. Kate, you're up next.
Question.
Yeah.
Well, mine's lighter. Okay. Guilty pleasure show that you're watching right now.
Do you know what? I just finished The Pit last night. Have y'all watched
No.
that yet?
No.
I stayed up until midnight, which is very late for me.
Yeah.
Do you know what it is? Do you know about The Pit?
I've never heard
it's
of
on
it.
Max. It is a hospital and ER show.
Oh, I heard of this.
It is like if you Noel Wiley's in it, who was
Okay.
in ER. So if you put together ER Grey's Anatomy with 24.
Okay.
So what it is
Oh,
the
so it's
whole
actually intense.
season is a 15-hour shift, and every episode is an hour of the shift. So you never leave the hospital. There's no people
that's
sneaking
cool.
around in closets because they're No, this is their 15 hours of work.
That's crazy.
Wow.
And so you are literally following the whole season is
cool.
one medical
Did you
shift.
feel yourself wanting to be an ER doc?
No. No, but last night got very intense. There's a pretty intense I mean, the thing you have to always think about with medical shows is, do I want to see someone get hurt? Can I handle surgery? So a lot of times I'm like, bleh, bleh, I don't want to see your surgeries. But I really enjoyed it. So I crushed through that once I started.
All right, I got next question.
Okay.
All right. Is the queen of fun looking for the king of fun? Or do you kind of maybe need the king of chill?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I have tried them both. And the king of fun and I do not tend to work.
Okay.
Probably the thing I am craving the most is being held physically, emotionally, financially, relationally. And the king of fun is not looking. We are just looking for different types of partners. And so I tend to fall in love with the tour manager, not the guy on stage.
Yeah.
Like if I'm a part of a conference, I'm more noticing the guys backstage and the guys on stage because those guys are caretakers.
Yep.
And I'm very attracted to
at
caretakers.
At this point, you need that.
Yes.
Like that is a top need for you in a relationship.
Yes, that's right.
I would say for you, that's so wise because you probably need a guy that has like a big container, just a big, safe container because you are a big woman. Like you have a great, amazing, big personality. You do big things and we don't need I think a lot of people are looking for somebody who's just like that. And I'm like, actually, especially as a woman, I think it's better to have a guy that just admires and can embrace that bigness and has like a big container to hold it all.
That's exactly right. That's and that's why tour managers, I mean, they carry my luggage and they give me a microphone. I'm like, And I get on the bus and you tell me where we're going and you're going to tell me what we're going to eat when we get there. Are we dating? And it's like, no, you're employed. You pay my bills. This is not a relationship. Oh, sorry.
Would you go as far to say as charisma is maybe like a red flag sometimes, or like at what point
is charisma a red flag?
Or are you like more cautious?
I do not think I want to date that guy. Yeah. Whenever I see a single guy doing that, the charisma thing where he's in the center of the dance floor, I'm always like, no. I'm also not the center of the dance floor, but that is never very rare. I mean, I've tried it twice.
Dancing in the middle of the dance floor?
I've tried the king of fun twice. And both times we both just kind of ended up being like, I think I want the opposite of you, not the same as me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so I'm at this point now, what does the Lord have? I don't know. But at this point, the men I keep tending to be attracted to are the men who prefer to be off stage, backstage in a totally different field. Proud of me, not impressed.
Amen.
Doesn't tend to care about our work. Mm-hmm. In fact, when something went sideways not long ago, and it's just a friend of mine, but he picked me up from the airport, and he was like, okay, I really want to hear what went wrong. You're going to have to explain a lot because I don't exactly know what you do. And I was like, do I love you? You know, like,
that's amazing.
This is the greatest thing you could have said. And I will explain it. The part you need, So
was he Amish? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. Do you not have a phone? Then let's get married. So.
Well, actually, that is part of what attracted me to you because you had literally no idea what I did, never heard of dating. It was like, oh, yay. I love that, actually.
Totally. Okay, well, let's go rapid fire for these fun ones, and then we'll get into the deeper ones.
Okay, I'll be more rapid fire.
No.
These are fun. Let's see. If you had a life soundtrack, what would be the opening credit song?
Big Pimpin' by Jay-Z. I love that song so much.
Walkout song, intro song. I would love to play that song right now as the audio goes.
Maybe just the instrumental.
Yeah, and we just have 4K, you walking down the street. I love with the Diva sunglasses. All right, here's mine. What's your Mount Rushmore of snacks?
Oh,
like your
great
top
question.
4, and the caveat is you can only have these 4 for the rest of your life.
Okay. Cheetos. Love Cheetos.
Just
I love
the
Cheetos.
normal ones?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking snacks that are like not healthy. This isn't like
Who
apple
cares?
and peanut butter. Get out of here.
We get a new body.
Yeah, y'all know I'm into protein, right?
Yeah.
We're all into protein, so this isn't what I'd actually
we get a do-over in heaven.
Yeah,
so.
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Okay, so Cheetos. What else would I really love? I really like the nerd clusters, the chewy and the middle.
same that JP likes.
Yes,
so
that's
good.
exactly right. I like both of those things. I like the piece of cheese wrapped in a piece of meat.
Oh, the prosciutto thing?
Prosciutto thing. Yeah, I really like that. So I would have all 3 of those. And the
She's
last
really
one,
envisioning them right
yeah,
now.
I'm really trying to make sure I'm telling you the truth, and I'm not going to regret my answer.
You need a sweet one.
Yeah,
Well,
I was going to
she's the
lean
nerd.
toward. I was going to end with an ice cream. I was going to end with an ice cream. So maybe
Bluebell.
like fish food, Ben and Jerry's fish food, because they have a
that's good.
dairy-free. I teeter on dairy-free, gluten-free, and so if I can find something I love in that version, I go for it. And they have a dairy-free fish food that's really
Okay, yeah. I'm on that, by the way.
Are you?
I don't know if I am like lactose intolerant, and I don't really want to find out.
That's right.
You
That's
know?
right. Don't do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Like,
Lactose
my ignorance is
intolerant.
bliss.
100%. His
Yeah.
mom was like, yeah, pretty sure he was like allergic all throughout childhood, and I never told him.
I
Oh my
I
gosh.
could never give up dairy.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's very not fun.
Okay, let's get into the questions.
Okay.
So we're gonna dive into
Okay.
some dating stuff,
I love it.
and I appreciate you for being willing to
Nice.
share.
Yeah.
Because I know for a long time it's like, do you want to be the single girl that shares?
Yeah,
you
that's right.
know, and I found that earlier in my journey, and like doing a Heart of Dating, I did not ever see that was going to be my journey.
Yeah.
And so a few years ago, you had us on for that
Yes.
summer
Yeah,
series,
Summer Lovin', yeah.
Summer Lovin'. And I feel like that opened the door
Mm-hmm.
to so many singles signing up. I mean, you guys had like hundreds of thousands of people that
Yeah.
signed up on that email list,
Yes.
right? Amazing. amounts of-
100,000 people listen. We had 20,000 people sign up on that email list.
Okay, there you go.
Wow.
Like tons of people.
Yeah.
And I feel like from conversations, it's like, wow, people want to hear from you when it comes to this subject. But I know as a single, it can be like, well, what do I really want to share? Or
Yes.
how do I really want to approach this?
Yes.
So I just appreciate you for being willing to do that.
Thanks, Kate.
Because I know that that's hard to do.
You just don't want to be the poster child,
Yeah.
right? And because I usually like the king of quiet, most of the men I go on dates with don't want to be public.
Yeah.
I mean, I went on dates a couple of months ago, and like on date 3, maybe 2 or 3, we had a real conversation about how we weren't going to talk about it on social media, you know, and like, what do you do? You know, and so it just is, it's complicated for him.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to, whoever the him is, I didn't want to, I didn't want to be a poster child. I didn't know how to handle it when it came to the dudes.
So what happened? Like, because walk me through.
Yeah,
You know,
the shift. I
yeah.
mean, Kate's right. It was that summer of, you know, I'd never felt called to it before.
Yeah.
I had never felt like God had asked me to do it. I just felt other people asking me to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of things about me. This is one of the things about me.
Totally.
And so I didn't want that. And because I didn't feel called to it, I didn't want to talk about it necessarily.
Yeah.
I kind of just wanted it to be my private life. And I couldn't figure out in my mind, which you cannot figure out how to ride a bike in your mind. You have to get on a bike and try and fall and get back on. And then, so I was trying to ride the bike in my mind of how in the world do I talk about this publicly and still get to date people?
Yeah.
And still get to make mistakes and still get to meet someone new and him not be like, well, she's the Taylor Swift of Christianity. And she's going to end up in a book if I, you know, or I'm going to end up in a book if I date her. And so I was mentally riding the bike was keeping me from talking about it publicly. Then once that summer happened and we just had such a response, and you're right, it was not that people weren't doing the work. Y'all were doing the work. There are a lot of people doing the work. I heard from people following me, we need you to talk about this part of your life. And I was like, all right. And then I felt a real invitation from the Lord. That was summer of 23, summer of 24. I had this really profound experience at the Starbucks in Green Hills, the new one in Hill Center. I was working on our Advent study for singles. And I thought, I just had this like, I don't want to be doing this. This isn't what I didn't want to be doing this. And I felt like the Lord said to me, this season won't last forever. Now, let me tell you what that means. 22-year-old Annie would have told you that means I'm getting married. 44-year-old Annie knows that means I could get married, I could die, or Jesus could come back. I could be when he says this season won't last forever, he could mean another 60 years.
Yeah.
But when it felt like the Lord said this season won't last forever, it felt like he was asking me, will you let me wring this out while it still is here? And I thought, now that is a different invitation. You haven't said that to me. You haven't said, before this ends, let me use it up. And that is always a yes from me. And so that's when I started doing the pastor stuff, like talking to pastors of like, okay, well, if this is a season and I'm about to get scooped up by a pterodactyl or Jesus is going to come back, and either getting married, dying, or Jesus returning, any of those, my influence over unmarried women changes. And my voice in their life changes. And so I was like, okay, then if God is saying that at some point this will change, of course, I probably knew that in my mind, but then I've got to let him do whatever he wants to do with this season before it's done, because I don't want to ever face him having wasted anything. And I never felt that before. And so once I felt that, it was like, well, gas pedal, here we go. I mean, I hope someone still dates me, even though I talk about this all the time. I hope this. And
yeah, do you feel like by embracing that call, you're maybe sacrificing dating opportunities, men who now would maybe not date you?
Yes. I don't have proof of that. I don't have anecdotal proof of that, but I fear that.
Yeah. Wow. What a precious offering.
Oh, thanks.
You know, like I love when God calls us to offer something that actually costs something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that is like the offering.
That's how it feels. It does feel that way, because you just go like, well, everyone, if I just met a dude who through friends, we're not dating, but I just met him and he's not married and he doesn't have social media. And I was like, tell me more.
Yeah. Tell me more about
What's his name? Obadiah.
Like,
he had the beard.
Because then the other reality is everything I do, and I'm in a new relationship. We've just started dating. We've been on 2 or 3 dates. Everything I do, we're watching each other like hawks on social media because we suddenly like each other.
Yeah.
Right.
So every time I talk about any of this, I think he's seeing this. Okay, he's seeing this. Am I fine that he's seeing me say this? And it's like, oh man, that is it's exhausting. And so someone who's not, but it's exhausting because it feels like it's costing me. And the reality is, I have to just come to terms with both can be true.
Yeah.
I can do this work that I'm called to do, and God can still bring the right guy who might have social media, right? Like who might see what I do. I mean, a lot. I've never dated anyone that didn't have social media. Everyone sees my life, and lucky for them, they're actually seeing what they're actually getting. The guy I'd have married at 24 I'd be like, in 20 years it's gonna get weird for you. I'm gonna be a public person.
And he's like, I didn't sign up for this.
And he wouldn't have signed up for it.
Now they know what they're
signing
up for.
They know what they're signing up for.
Yeah. All right, guys, this show is sponsored by BetterHelp. I want to talk about therapy because it's Mental Health Awareness Month. And recently, 26% of Americans said they avoid seeking mental health due to a fear of judgment. I know so many people in my life that just think, you know what, I don't want to do this. It's kind of embarrassing. There's a lot of shame. And I'm fine. I'm just fine as I am. I'm not really the problem. They're the problem. Let me tell you, especially as singles, it can be easy to believe the lie that I'm not the problem, they're the problem. But in the words of Taylor Swift, hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. I'm telling you, even if you think it's their fault, most of the time there's more of you in it than you even can imagine. And so I've had to learn personally to humble myself and say, yeah, even though I've been through a lot of toxic relationships, I still contributed to some of those toxic situations. And so I want to tell you about BetterHelp because they have over 10 years of experience matching people with the right therapist from their diverse network of more than 30,000 licensed therapists with a total wide range of specialties. It's fully online, making it affordable and very convenient because, hello, you can be in sweatpants in the comfort of your home. I don't like going out, bawling my eyes out, and then having other people see. I like to be in my bed when I do that. Thank you very much. They help 5 million people worldwide. And it's really great because if you don't like your therapist, you can change your therapist at any time for no extra cost. We are all better with just a little bit of help. So you can visit betterhelp.com/HOD to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/HOD to get 10% off your first month. You know, and when I met JJ, it was literally the week that my book came out, my first book. And it was like in that book, it was like stories of abuse, stories of all sexual abuse, all different kinds of abuse, rejection at the yin-yang. And like, he asked if he could read it. And I was like, okay, and But there it is, like all these stories just released. And that's what I was talking about every day on Instagram.
Yes.
And the way he got introduced to me was I was talking about self-hatred and abuse and some of my story. And here it is. He's like, oh, but here's the thing, Annie, is like he heard all of that and heard my brokenness and how I shared a testimony even in that talk about how I went to like an insane asylum during that relationship or a psych ward. And he still was like, oh, I'm attracted to that, you know, even though for some people that would be like, whoa, she has that past, or whoa, she's talking about that. So just being that, let that be an encouragement to you,
Thank you,
that the right man's heart, and I always say this, will be ignited to pursue you. And he won't be afraid or intimidated or like, oh my gosh, she's saying this. Is it about me?
Right.
Because that's the kind of guy you don't want to be with anyway.
I don't have energy for that
you know,
anyway.
like it's just like, no. And he'll be like, no, she has a unique gift and voice to speak into this. And I love that. And he's going to be secure enough in himself to be like, okay, I can handle that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I want to bring up something you shared last year. You said this, and it was so good in that talk you did at Think, which I loved.
Thanks.
You did amazing. You said, I'm desperate to remind my peers and our pastors that singleness and marriage are both reliable paths to an abundant life.
Yes.
Both reliable paths.
Yes.
I want you to share more about how you got to that, because I believe it's so true.
I think it's really true.
Yeah.
I grew up in the church, and I think no one specifically taught this. I think it was more caught. I don't think anyone was getting up in the 90s and saying, you have to get married or you're not walking with God. No, of course not. But they were teaching us how to date, which they should. And I'm grateful. They were teaching us, here's what you're looking for in marriage. And there's this core problem that I think leaders are adjusting to now, is that when you teach teenagers that sex is only for marriage, which I actually am very pro sex is for marriage. So that's not what I'm saying. When you teach that sexual purity is wait until you're married, then instead of teaching sexual purity as a lifelong choice, then you're saying there is a finish line. We're all in the same race. Good luck.
Right.
Yes.
Control yourself. Sex
Until
is only
you get
for
married.
marriage.
Yeah.
But when you get married, it's the biggest gift. And da-da-da. Instead of going, hey, sexual purity is a lifelong choice. Let's talk about what that looks like when you're single. Let's talk about what that looks like when you're married. And then going like, okay, so as long as you're single, this is what sexual purity looks like. But y'all in your marriage still have to pursue sexual purity.
Right.
Just like I do. It just looks different.
Totally.
And so I think that's the core of the problem is we were taught so much of marriage is about sex is what you're taught. And so because that was the line, and there was some leadership, where can women lead and where can't they, and wrapped up in that, and some of the patriarchy wrapped up in, and our grandmothers and mothers and great-grandmothers having to be in marriages no matter what they wanted because of finances and culture. And so culture shifting has made some of that more possible, obviously. So all of that in one stew told us that the godly path is a married path.
Right.
And that is true. And there is also a godly path that is single because y'all were living it before you got married.
Right.
And I'm living it before I get married.
Yeah.
And then when I get married, my abundant life will be a married life.
Yeah.
And there will be days where I will wish I was single.
Yeah.
And I will go, I really miss, why did I do this? I've done that,
Have you ever had that thought, JJ?
Every day.
No. I mean, they're just, I only know that because when I moved into a new house, I cried every night the first week, even though it was the house I wanted, because I was missing the smaller house that was gross, that I did not own, that did not have room for my stuff. But I was comfortable there. And so I actually had a friend come. I think y'all know her, Kula. Y'all know Kula. I had Kula, who does yoga, come to my house and do yoga with me in my house so that I felt like grounded there.
Yeah.
The same will happen. It happens in dating. The same will happen in marriage. And therefore, both are reliable paths that you can pursue for abundant life. You just have to tell yourself or hear the teaching and hear it enough. Okay, I can actually have an abundant life that is full of intimacy and goodness and love and relationship, whether I get married or not.
Okay, wait. So, but I find that intellectually we can know a truth like that.
Yes.
Abundant life and singleness.
Yes.
But when it's 10 o'clock tonight.
Yes.
And you're watching The Pit and you maybe have some fish food, you know. Sometimes it can be hard to feel that. or believe it. So when the
Yes.
rubber meets the road, how did that look like for you to actually
Yes.
embracing it? Like your heart and soul knows it just as much as your mind.
Well, one of the practical ways is I don't make theology decisions about God after dark. And I don't make big decisions about my life after dark because of that. It can get so much lonely. The most dangerous night for me is the night after I'm done preaching at Crosspoint all day. Because I get home at 7:30.
sure.
I'm by myself. I have been working all day on a thing that I've been working weeks on. And I've presented it all day and I've done the best I could. And now I can eat, drink, text, watch, anything.
Yeah.
And no one will know because I live alone. And I am tired and sad every time. I'm tired and sad every time. And so overarching, JJ, I mean, in my whole life, I just do not. So that's one of the ways the rubber meets the road is I do not make big thoughts or big decisions at night when I'm alone. Because in the morning, everything is different. And so I go like, should I text him and just see, like, if I've been ghosted after I'm done preaching, should I send a text tonight? Absolutely not. You send it Monday at lunch. You wait till lunch on Monday. You have a quiet time. You drink your tea. You work out, and then you can send a text if you want to send a text. And so some of that's where rubber meets the road for me, is getting very practical of paying attention. For women, 3 weeks out of the month are much better decision-making weeks than 4. And so I have to pay attention to, I have to pay attention to, man, a lot of things I'm feeling right now don't align with what I believe. Oh, you dodo bird, you're PMSing. Of course you don't, So that plays into it too. I think it is also, so that's the like tactical.
Right.
I think the other way is, if we want to go back to the bike analogy, the longer you ride, the better you are at riding.
Yeah.
And so, not that I want people to be single longer, but the longer you choose, could this be the best God has for me? This must be the best God has for me today. The longer you choose to ride that bike, the better you get at riding it. So I can tell y'all, full stop, no question, this day that we are recording this, God can do the most for me and through me unmarried. I know that is true. His kindness is most profound today because I'm not married. What is true for y'all is his kindness is most profound. He does the most for you and through you because you're married. That will be true for me until that switches.
As a byproduct of that, would you say that you're more content in your singleness than you've ever been?
Yes,
is that kind of like
totally? I feel more purposeful. I don't think I'll ever feel content. I've kind of released that. I feel like that's
a hard word.
It's a hard weaponized when we're
it's
younger.
Loaded for sure.
Yeah, it's so loaded. So I mean, you're right of the feeling. So you're asking a very good question. You're
like
right of
full,
the feeling.
I feel like more full.
Yeah, this is it, man. Like, let's run. I mean, I had a girlfriend, and I'm not sure this is great. I had a girlfriend say the other day, and she's in a relationship, and she said he's not competing with, she's deciding whether this is right to move forward. He's not competing with other men. He's competing with my peace. And I thought, now that's part of our bigger problem with dating right now, right? That we have all satisfied ourselves in 1,000 ways.
That doesn't change in marriage, by the way.
That's right. Oh, right. Interesting.
It's the same thing.
Yes.
Your peace is
still something that, I would imagine.
That is like your top thing to steward.
Yeah.
Is your peace, because it's so easy to attack your partner or interpret their, remark as an attack.
Yeah.
And when your peace starts getting dysregulated, that's, you're at your worst and you can spiral. But
that's exactly right.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. And so I don't want to get so comfortable in my life now that I'm unwilling to go out on a Friday night, or I'm unwilling to walk up and speak to someone, because then you go, I'd just rather be at home eating pizza and watching a show, right? You're like, no. I will not get what I want if I do not put myself out there.
Yes.
So I feel like I am on purpose. I am running fast. We are getting a lot done. And I am so happy that this is the life I have right now. And I am very available to meeting someone and dating someone and hoping it's right. And so both are true today, that I am like, this is awesome. I love my life. I'm having a ball. I'm getting to spend my money and my time the way I want to. Also, I wish there was someone in this with me.
Totally.
So both are true.
Yeah.
So I have a question. You're single, you're in your 40s. There's so many of our listeners that are 30s, 40s.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot that goes into that, especially as a female, I would say. So what would you want somebody listening to this to know about being single and their 40s specifically?
So if we want to talk about kids for a minute, one of the things my counselor did for me that has been very helpful is at the end of my 20s and again at the end of my 30s, she said, you really need to grieve that you will never be a wife or a mom in your 30s or your 20s. And she was like, you had a picture in your mind of how your life would be. That is not what is going to happen. And you will never get that back. And so you need to really grieve that. And both of those things were really hard and very important. And so, and I think it is also important to be honest with yourself about what you desire. So my desire for kids was much higher 15 years ago than it is now. And so I should pay attention to that. I don't need to hold on to, oh yeah, I was going to be a wife and a mom. It's like, well, actually, I don't know that part, there's a lot of science that says that part won't be as easy for me if I try now. And I don't know that actually fits with the life God has given me at this point.
Yeah.
Maybe it does. Maybe him having kids already, but there's a lot that would have to change for that to be the next thing I do is get married and have my own kids.
Do you feel like if this was like Matrix, like red pill, blue pill, and I said Annie, we can go back and you could have, at 30, the man, the kids, you feel like you wrestle with that choice or like at this point, like you just...
No, I totally would wrestle with it.
Yeah.
I sat with someone today in that chair and talked to them about this. And I said, if you could go back and do anything different, would you? And she said, no, I'd pick this exact story. And if you red pill, blue pilled me, I think I would have had a really lovely life marrying the guy I spent time with in college. And we'd have had kids and we both were school teachers and we'd have had a really beautiful life in a small town and it would have honored God. And so I think there is another version of this that I didn't get.
Yeah.
That's okay. But so I don't know that given the choice, I would pick this again because I think the red pill would have been a God honoring life too.
Yeah.
I think if you said, now red pill is you marry a guy, y'all have kids, you stay in your hometown or whatever, but it's not obedient to God. That's not an option to me.
Right.
But if you're saying, hey, both of these lives would have honored God and been the best he could have had for you, and I think that'd be a hard choice.
Has been challenging, like not to fantasize. I mean, like I appreciate your honesty because I think sometimes as Christians, it's easier to kind of be like hallmarky.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, we had 2 miscarriages this fall, and like, if you gave me that choice to go back and like I would.
Yes. Yes. Right.
Like I still really wrestle with not being able to be God and accepting that.
Yes.
And I can't make sense of it. And it's the same, like, and I think God meets us more in that honesty than any place.
Yeah.
So, but has that been hard not to fantasize or think about or just like why?
It's probably more if I'm not careful in the dark.
Yeah.
It can be, why didn't he and I just pick each other back then?
Yeah.
Particularly a guy from college that he still isn't married to anyone either.
Yeah.
And so I've always been like, did we do this wrong? Did we, and he's lovely, great dude, super great dude, but very different lives and in very different cities. But I still think very highly of him. But I just think, why didn't we do that? But I probably don't do that, JJ. If that happens in my brain, that is once a year.
Yeah.
It is more, if I get spiraled out on something of that nature of why didn't it is one of the ghosting situations or it is.
That can like trigger.
Yeah. So I'm the queen of blocking on Instagram. I'm the queen of deleting a text thread. I'm like, I can't have the opportunity to watch and remember.
Yeah.
We have to date like it's 1986. And when we decided we weren't doing this anymore, I cannot see you and keep up with you.
Because have you seen Inside Out 2? It reminds me of like the little nostalgia, like the old that comes out and they're like, not yet nostalgia. But it's like, we need to get rid of the nostalgia of past relationships or what if with certain people.
Yes.
It's so easy also after the fact to only see the white and not the black, meaning like only the good or picture only the great moments of like maybe it could have been this.
Or did he wear that in his stories today because he remembers that I was... No, he didn't. It was clean.
Right? He doesn't even remember if he wore it yesterday and it's dirty. He's probably wearing his same underwear 2 days in a row.
That's exactly right. But I can watch a story or see a post and And Annie, this isn't true for everyone. Annie does not move on well when I have full access to a guy on socials that I'm not dating anymore.
It's just setting out a landmine.
Yeah. So I just block and I'm like, God, it's not about him.
Yeah.
It's never about him. It's always about me.
Amen.
It is, I wish you well. You can go. If I could block someone that could still see me and I just couldn't see him, I would do that. Yeah. Because I'm like, I'm not telling you can't see my life. I'm just telling you I can't see yours anymore because I'm not in it. And so, but that isn't an option currently on any of the social media. So it's just a,
sorry, bye.
Sever.
You can't see me either.
It's so smart. I mean, it is so smart and practical. Like you're just taking all those landmines and just clearing them out of the way.
It's the only way I move on.
Yeah.
Is if I can't watch his every move.
Yeah. So I wonder too about like a lot of singleness, and at least in my journey, I'm curious for you, can bring up lies, doubts, questions about ourselves, about God. How have you wrestled with any of that?
Yeah, I mean, particularly as we keep going, we'll put the two questions together because I'm not sure I serve the 30s and 40s all that well about marriage. But so I'll say this, particularly the older I've gotten, the more none of life makes sense. Right? When I was 24, what didn't make sense was that I wasn't dating someone who I was going to marry. When you have miscarriages, when I'm 42 and my nephew dies, then it's like, none of this is how I would write this story. Okay. So you're telling me this was the best that, and we live in a fallen world and it is, I understand maybe. We just aren't going to understand. Yeah. And so I think, Kate, the thing I have to do the most in sadness is, and when I'm disappointed, when I'm heartbroken, when I'm lonely, particularly if I'm acutely lonely versus like the normal. I think everybody feels lonely a lot. I think I recently decided loneliness is no longer like an alarm for me. It's just a street sign.
Yeah.
It is not going to tell me something has to change. It's just telling me something, direction.
It's a good feeling given to you by God.
Yeah.
That Adam had in the garden.
Yes.
And God saw.
Yes.
He said, we're in paradise.
Yeah.
We're walking together.
Yeah.
And you're lonely.
It'll make you do something.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I'm going to give you a friend.
Yeah.
Like walking in God in perfect harmony.
Yes.
Is still not good enough.
It's still not good enough, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
So he saw loneliness in us and met it proactively, which is a super powerful thought to think about.
That's really, yes, that's a beautiful way to put that. In any of those, the thing I say to myself a lot is there is such a bigger story here you don't see. That's kind of my mantra in that. I don't know that this is the right language, so forgive me if you get feedback. Just email Annie@heartofdating.com because that's not a real email address.
That's our intern. No,
yeah, oh my gosh, bless her heart. Some of that is I want to guard my relationship with God. I want to be honest with him, but I don't want to put things inside that relationship that cause tension that is unnecessary. Okay, so the same would be true in a friendship. Say that one of my best friends and I hear about someone else that is doing something uncool or unkind or whatever. And if I bring it into our relationship, it's going to cause a tension that's unnecessary in our relationship, right? Because she's going to find out that way. I'm going to find out that way, whatever, right? I don't want to bring tension in that isn't necessary. Sometimes with God, I don't want to bring tension that isn't necessary. And so I just go like, you and I are doing fine. I'm disappointed about this and I don't understand. There's just a bigger story here. I don't have big feelings today. I have medium feelings. On the days that I have big feelings, I bring those big feelings in too of like, hey, this is what, I mean, I'll get teary telling you this, but the last time I got pretty significantly ghosted, it's only happened less than a handful of times, but I said to God, why didn't you protect me? Like, I really lean on Isaiah that says God is your husband. And I said, a good husband would not let his wife be treated that way. Why did you let me get treated that way? And when I was talking to you about it the whole time, it isn't like I was going into some like, I didn't like pick a dude that didn't know the Lord or didn't love the Lord and I wasn't rebellious. I was in the Lord through the whole thing. And so clearly it still is like, why didn't he? Yeah. Why didn't he protect me? And I wasn't asking. It was someone that I met in the wild. I wasn't looking. Yeah. I was in the wild being a person, and we saw each other and we're like, yo. And so I wasn't even looking. So it's one of those where there'd have been another conversation if it had been a dating app guy or if I'd have been set up or whatever.
Yeah,
where I was
but
like,
in the wild, it just felt and hit different.
Yeah. A dating app, I'd have gone, well, that's kind of on me because there were 4 red flags in his profile.
But in the wild, it's like, is this it?
This is it. Yeah.
Finally.
And we were both just doing our job and met in the wild. And so it all just felt really hard. So those kind of things. I don't want to bring additional tension to my relationship with God. So but then when things like, when I'm processing that kind of stuff, that's when I'm going like, hey, I've got to fully come and say what I need to say. And I don't have an answer. Months later, year later, I don't have an answer. Yeah. I wasn't like I said, why didn't you protect me? And he said, here's why I didn't protect you. I mean, in fact, probably what's truer is it felt like the Lord, every relationship that doesn't work is a protection. Yeah. You are being protected from someone and for someone.
Yeah, there's a great verse in Job that just basically talks about the idea of because we know pain, now we know God. You know, and the other question I have for you too, and thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, of course.
Your Enneagram 7 Queen of Fun. I heard this the other day, and this is not to bring us back to the surface because I want to stay. Do you feel like as a 7, I heard this the other day, I didn't know if it's true. When it comes to negative emotions and feelings, we're the only ones who naturally escape, minimize, and disconnect.
Yeah, I do all those.
Yeah. From specifically negative.
Yes.
So even something like this, you know, in a lot of ways, it's like training for you and I. It's training wheels when it comes to these emotions.
That's exactly right.
And actually, I felt like my heart broke for you in the sense of like, why don't the medium and small things matter to God for you?
Yeah.
You know, like you're withholding them.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
that's a good question.
These are.
Yeah. Or I'm like,
don't worry about these big guys.
We'll be fine.
Yeah.
It almost feels like we don't have enough time.
Right.
Those will be over here. The big ones I'm going to bring like that. The medium and small, I'm going to reconcile with myself and what I know of God. So it just almost feels like a time decision.
Yeah. Like, are they just not important enough?
I don't want to be sad.
Yeah.
You know that. I mean, I don't want to do, I can't stay there. That's not fun. And so I bring what I have to. But even like you said, it's training. Even that has been a choice in the last decade of growth and therapy and of going like, even that is worth a conversation versus being like, I'll be fine. I'm sad about a breakup or I'm sad about this or I'm sad. But then when it comes between me and God, it has been a practice to, I will stay in this conversation with God.
Yeah.
Calling all my single as a Pringles. You've prayed, you've tried just about everything, and you are still single. Well, boy, do I have something for y'all. Let me tell you this, you're not single because you're unworthy. It's probably just because you're stuck in patterns that aren't leading you to finding the love that you want. And I want to help you change that. May 11th through 14th, we are hosting a free mini conference online. It's May 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 4 nights from 7 to 8:30 Central Time. It's called the Find Your Person Challenge. It's an event to help you break free, get unstuck, and actually have tools to find the very person that you are looking for. For all my OG Heart of Dating people out there, you remember conference in 2020? This is going to be a little reminiscent of that. Let's flash back some nostalgia from that time, shall we? Except this event is actually totally free. We wanted to make it accessible to everyone. So come and join us May 11th. Hey, if you can't make every single day, you'll get all of the replays sent to you for that next week. So still sign up. You can go to heartofdating.com/challenge.
You know, like people will say, like, God can handle your anger, give it to him. God can handle your sadness. I'm like, dude, it's so much bigger than that.
Yeah.
Like, he died.
Yes.
So that you would share it with him.
Yes.
Like, he died.
Yeah.
So that you could have that. Because when you share that and he meets that need, that's relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
my bigger thing has never been, I don't think I've ever thought God can't handle me coming to him angry. I've thought I can't handle. I don't know what happens to me
if
I go all the way into this, what breaks in me that I do not know how to fix. Yeah. That's probably been my deeper fear.
Yeah.
Especially in my 30s, late 20s and 30s, was like, if I crack this nut, I'm not sure it gets put back together. Like, this is a Humpty Dumpty situation. And I am not sure we'll ever get put back together again. And you don't. You actually don't get put back together again the way you were. You get put back together different and better and all the things. But I'm right. Is that when you break stuff open and when you break open your pain, you don't get put back together the same. But that is the rest of our lives. That is growth. That is who we want to be. So.
And it's scary. But it's a noble journey.
Yeah. Sorry, this is so serious. We're like, dating.
I know.
Talk about dudes. They're so cute.
I know.
No, I love to go into these layers, though.
Yeah. It's complicated dating this age.
It is. I coach a lot of women in their 40s, 30s, and there's a lot of hardness. Like, have you seen that? Have you wrestled, hardened heart?
Yeah.
Of, just like
bitterness.
Bitter. Yeah.
And just self-reliance in every way makes you have to be tough and strong. Because I don't know a lot of women who are in their 30s and 40s that desire marriage that left college age thinking, I bet I'll be paying my own bills for 20 more years.
Oh, man.
No.
I bet I'll be making my own decisions about retirement funds.
And especially when you say what you said earlier, when you picture you're going to be a mom and you just think this is going to be your life, because it's different for guys. It's like a different, that side of the equation for a 44-year-old guy is very different
I'm sure.
than for a 44-year-old woman.
Yes.
Because we're thinking through a very different fertility journey than the guy is, And
totally.
so how have you ever wrestled with the thought of, because the thing I hear almost the most is just anger at men specifically.
Yeah.
I'm angry at men. There's no good guys. Guys are the ones, because I'm sure that you, being single, also have other female friends. I think of Bethany Allen as a great example, who are these single powerhouse, single amazing people.
She's so amazing.
She is. She's the best. That you're like, what the heck? Why are these amazing women not being picked up? Where are the single guys that aren't ghosting, that aren't, and that is where then sometimes it can go into very jaded or hardened heart towards men specifically.
Yeah.
Sometimes then that bleeds towards God, but I see it a lot towards men. So how has that been for you?
I really struggle with that conversation. Mm-hmm. I think we women are often creating the problem by talking about the problem so much. Mm-hmm. I think my experience of talking to some of my guy friends, it feels like they're in quicksand they cannot get out of. Mm-hmm. And part of the quicksand is what we say as women. And how we talk about them and how we talk about they are no good guys. And then they're like, well, I already kind of felt that. I already felt like I wasn't a good enough guy. And now all my girlfriends, my friends that are girls are telling me there are no good guys and I can't get out of this. Yeah. And then we lose them to the quicksand. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I do not engage in that conversation with my friends because I'm like, your words have the power of life and death. I'm not going to be the one who kills any single guys in my life by the things I say. And so I hear that a lot, though. I'm with you. And I can understand how it feels that way. Yeah. One of the gifts,
when you get the ghosted a year or whenever, it's
right.
I feel like in those moments, it's of course. Or it can be easy to think, of course, this happens again. Guys are just like this. Or, not that is true. It's just that can be the default tendency and thought.
Yes. And I think, the hard part is, which is the chicken, which is the egg? Mm-hmm. Are there not a lot of great guys, and therefore we experience that as single women, and we talk about it? Or do we talk about it so much that we can't see them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's probably both.
It's both, right? It's got to be some of both.
Yeah, it's both. I think we have to be able to look at reality and not get worked up about it. And the reality is this. There's more women in the church than there is men. And it's always been that way. The church has actually, since its origin, been the safest place for women. Yeah. Widows, just women, period. Yes. They're one of the first entities to say women actually are people, not an object or
Right.
something you own. Okay, they're
Right.
not property. They can just. So it's always skewered to be safer towards women. I'm like, praise God for that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
There's always been less men in the church than women. And then the past 50 years, I do think women have kind of culturally maybe lagged ahead.
Yeah.
You know, the feminist movement told women in order to be respected, you basically have to act like a man, have a career like a man, make all these things. And men, I think, have gotten lost. Like there's not really a purpose for men. Yes. I always tell people, like, think about cultural, social media, like funny shows. Like, when's the last time you really saw like a purpose man who wasn't, Captain America? Like, you know, how are men being portrayed in media the past 20 years? The funny guy who doesn't really Phil from Modern Family.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, men are not really given a purpose or they're told they're needed.
Yes, that's right.
That's right. And so I do think it's both. The most important thing I tell women to think about is when you say that out loud, where are all the good godly men? Imagine being one of your close guy friends and hearing that.
Yes.
How does that make them feel?
I mean, I think the version of, to me, that would cripple me is if I kept hearing guys say, where are all the pretty single girls? I'd be like, what?
Man.
What?
It's just so deflating.
And then you just can't, you can't get back.
Yeah.
And so I think, man, that would be so hard. We did this thing, a group of friends and I, a few years ago, we called it the Benjamin Project. And we all made a list of every single girl we knew and every single guy we knew. And we made a promise for 100 days. And we all took a $100 bill and hung it up in our rooms. We made a promise for 100 days that we would pray for every single friend we had and not say one unkind thing about men for 100 days.
Yeah.
Wow.
Almost all those girls met a man or got married that year.
Let's go.
Wow.
I was one of like two of the whole that didn't. I mean, I dated someone that year, but I didn't marry him. It changed everything because we committed to each other. We are not going to talk like this.
Yeah.
We are going to stop, and it changed our whole culture of friends.
Wow,
Amen.
Yeah.
It was wild. It was
it's like
wild to watch.
Ephesians 6. Every word that comes out of your mouth is to edify and build.
Yes.
And I don't think people realize how like your words have weight.
Yes. So I think the language could be, but the one that comes to mind is, good thing I'm only looking for one good guy.
Yeah, amen.
I'm only looking for one good Christian guy. So there don't need to be a lot. So good thing at that. Or something like, one of the gifts of dating apps is you can see a lot of people you don't know. And you go, oh, wait, look at all these men I actually don't know. I can feel like I know every single guy in Nashville.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you get on a dating app, you're like, I don't know any of them.
Are you on Raya?
I have been historic. I'm not currently on any
Is
of
it
them.
cool? Is it good?
You know, the thing about Raya is it's not location based at all.
Okay.
And you don't have to talk about your faith anywhere. There isn't, and no one does. And so you end up matching with like 15 NBA guys in Toronto. Or not matching, but you keep seeing all these like Toronto, LA, Milan, Chicago. I mean, it's more a spectator sport. I don't know. I know one couple who met on Raya and married. I don't know anybody else who's
I
been
don't know
on Raya
anybody
and
who's
date.
Did you have like an I Heart Jesus like t-shirt?
I put Jesus front and center because I'm like, that's just the
Like
tip
you
of the
praying.
iceberg for what you're going to have to deal with.
Yeah.
If you're not into Jesus, you're not going to be into any of this, bro.
Yeah.
And so Raya hasn't been very successful for me. It's just fun sometimes to see celebrities on it and be like, really? I think Hinge and Bumble has incognito mode. You don't know this, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Where you pay a little bit of money and the only men who see you, or if you're a dude swiping,
Are the ones that you.
the only people who see you are people you've already said yes to. You've already swiped right on.
Okay, cool.
And so that's really helpful that's how Lisa Turkhurst met her husband.
Yeah.
Is doing
Yeah.
incognito mode. It is really helpful because it doesn't feel like you're exposed to everyone on the app.
Right.
Yeah.
It feels like if I would go on an actual date with you, I will swipe right because now you're going to see me.
Right.
Like we walked into a bar.
Yeah.
Right.
To me, incognito mode is my opportunity to walk into the same bar as the guys, and regular Bumble or Hinge, whichever one it is, regular version of it makes me feel like
Everyone
I'm
can
on a stage and all they have to do is Google one thing and they know everything.
Would
they
you-
can read 14 books.
Would you do a Love is Blind mode? Like you can't see the person, but they like
Maybe.
create a match for you. It's all personality and
Maybe. I mean,
like JP service.
yeah,
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah.
JP said. Yeah, probably. I mean,
Qualified date.
I'd probably be open to that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just a try.
Yeah.
Would you go on Love is Blind, like a Christian version?
You know, I've only been soft asked one time to do a dating show, and it wasn't a yes then, and it wasn't a serious. It was like a, would you ever consider coming on this if we did it? I probably would. I think it'd be interesting to see an actual faith person do that show. I'm not sure. I've never watched a minute of Love Is Blind, so they may be all Christians. I have no idea. But
it would be cool.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I think that'd be, JJ, one of the things I think is true about y'all's life, particularly that y'all have gone ahead of me in, is one of the things social media is allowing now, and podcasts are allowing, and is people get to learn from our lives, not just by what we say, but by actually seeing what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And so they are watching y'all meet and get married and have children and walk through pain and all the things. And so you are modeling for us how to do this. I would like to figure out a way to offer help like that. Mm-hmm. There are women older than me that I wish I was watching how they date. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how they date. And so I would like to figure out a way to be more helpful in the middle of that, but I can't figure that out yet.
That would be
real
cool.
Dude.
No, but it's someone like a couple steps ahead.
Yeah.
Doing it the right way.
Yeah.
That you'd like to mimic or say, oh,
and
man.
So I'm like, how can I be that? Is a Love Is Blind how I can be that? Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, there are, like, The Bachelor's had some, like, I think of Sean and Catherine Lowe in Texas. Like, they were believers from the start and did that show and are still together with lots of kids. And so it is possible.
Okay, if you were on I have a couple fun questions.
Okay, I'm ready to
wrap on. Okay.
If you were on the show or this on the wild, and there's a New York City Bachelor.
Yeah.
All right, everything New York City embodies. And a Nashville Bachelor.
New York. No
You're
question.
choosing New York?
Absolutely New York.
Dang.
I mean, I have tried the Nashville guys for a long time. I've lived here 16 years. There's a couple of things about men in New York that I really respect. And then there's a couple of things about Nashville men I really respect too. But since you're particularly asking about New York men, cities that are not culturally Christian, the men who choose to be Christian make sacrifices for their faith.
Amen.
They get up early and go to prayer rooms.
Amen.
They are in small groups. They are in small groups not because that's what the church asks them to do, but because they actually can't do the life they want to do without community and accountability.
Yeah.
And so I've watched some of the men I've met in New York be very intentional in community and very intentional in their faith because you can't survive without it. And in the South and in Christian cities, quote, quote, quote,
yes.
in Christian culture cities, it is much easier to say one thing and not actually pursue it that hard. Yeah. Also, men in cities like New York, and this is true for some men here too, they think they're the best. And I kind of dig that.
You like that?
I like the guys who are like, when I was in my hometown or when I was in my college doing finance, I was the best guy at finance, so I came to New York. When I was doing plays, I was the best guy in plays, so I came to New York. The same is true here. If you're doing music, particularly Christian or country, you come to Nashville. So we see some of that. But there's like a, if I can make it there, I make it anywhere reality.
Like
to the men in New York.
Healthy confidence is very attractive.
That's it, right. Yeah. And New York men really like successful women.
Yeah.
They like women that
they're not intimidated by it.
No, because they're
it's
like
normal there.
The men I'm meeting are like, I still have more money than you, but nice job.
Yeah.
Like it's cool that you do that.
Yeah.
But I'm not intimidated because I'm working hard every day too.
Yeah.
And so I went to, y'all are gonna love this. I know we're like supposed to go fast. I'm really great at these fast ones.
I know.
I got invited to a fundraiser in New York that was very high end. And do you know that I went solely to look at every left ring finger because I was like, "This is my crew."
Champagne.
I am,
around.
You're like, this
y'all
is it.
Y'all care about something faith based.
Yeah.
You care enough to go to a fundraiser
What
for
better
a
place to meet
nonprofit.
Bruce Wayne? Yeah,
You've got a free night on your calendar.
Yeah,
and you've got money to give.
Yes.
And you have friends.
Yes.
This is my.
He's here, everyone.
Fish in a barrel.
He's here.
Yeah, I am hunting from this barrel. So I was looking at all of them. Every one of them was married. Some of our friends from Nashville were at it, and so I was sitting with them, and I was like, "Are any of them single?" And the husband was like, "Annie, none of them are single." I was like, "Well, that's why I came here." Yes. Yeah, because of that. Because I thought I am going to go to this to be supportive, blah blah blah, and also. I am going to go to the places where the kind of man I want to end up with is going to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's one of them.
Okay. So say you find him. Okay. I have a fun question. Yeah. You take the subway in New York or you taxi girl?
Yes.
Okay.
No, subway.
All right. Hey, woman of the people.
Got to.
Okay. You say you find him. He's everything you wish for and dreamed of.
Yeah.
And at night, he turns into a subway rat.
Oh, no.
And A full-on big one. And just once, you have to kiss him to break the curse.
It's Ratatouille. Can he be Ratatouille?
No. He
just gross subway rat.
Yeah, big one.
If everything else is
one
there,
kiss.
Yeah, fine.
One
fine.
kiss.
Smack dab.
Yeah. I'm not 18, bro. I'm 44. If everything else is there and he's just a rat sometimes, great. Fine.
Smooching
Very
him.
manageable. There are things we can change and things we can't. If I can change it, fine.
Pucker up.
I'll
big
change
guy.
it all day long.
He asks me all the time. He says, "Would you love me if I was a worm?"
I saw a girl on Instagram say there's this really cute couple that they speak to each other in American Sign Language because she's deaf and his dad is deaf, and so and she said, "Would you love me if I was a worm?" And I'd never seen worm in sign language.
So
it's just a little finger crawling up your arm. So, what's your answer?
I told him no.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she was like, "I'd stomp you."
Exactly what I'm looking for. So
if you were permanently a worm,
I don't.
But I would keep you around. But
but I'm probably gonna get remarried.
Yeah, I'm definitely
fair.
Gonna get remarried.
Well, I think that's a good one to end on. Well, don't you? Well, actually, no, one more.
Great.
Do you have a phobia of candles? Like you have a thing with candles?
I just don't. I like to, again, with not wanting tension in my relationship with God, I just try to risk manage everything.
Okay.
And I don't have time for my house to burn down.
Okay.
I've got too much going on.
So you kiss him, he unwinds and he brings you home.
And it's all candles.
And his whole room is filled with candles. And he says, I can't live without these.
That's going to be hard.
Would it be a deal breaker?
He's going to be in charge of blowing them out every night. That's the problem is I'm like, when I'm buzzing out of my house, like if I went home after this, got changed, whatever, lit a candle, had a little bit of time before dinner, and then I get to dinner and I'm like, is the candle on? Is the candle on? Is the candle on?
Just thinking about
I just cannot.
So it's not a deal breaker if he...
No.
Okay.
If he's gonna be fine with turning the candles off, fine. It just is. It is mostly, why would you put open flames in a home you have paid for, full of stuff you've paid for? Do you want to do it again?
We almost burned our house down at a white elephant party this fall.
Because of candles, yeah.
Yeah,
yes, I'm telling y'all. They smell nice. I really respect them, but... Did we talk enough about dating? Did I talk about dating at all?
I think so. Okay. I think we got a good picture. Okay. Well, I'm good. I have some more fun ones we'll ask off air, but I'm just kidding. Yeah. No.
Annie, thank you.
Oh my gosh, of course. Thanks for what y'all do. I mean, we have some behind the scenes fun stuff going on between us. And,
yes, we do.
And I'm really excited that I feel like y'all are just a really important resource and voices, and so I'm really grateful for y'all.
Yeah, well, no one listens to us anymore, so that's why we have you on here. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
You're gonna be taking over the Heart of Dating, everyone.
Yeah, that's your announcement that you're talking about.
Yeah.
New co-host of That Sounds Fun and Heart of Dating, Annie Down.
Yeah,
we love you.
Thanks, I love you guys too. I'm grateful.
The Heart of Dating podcast is created by Kate and JJ Tomlin. Shout out to our epic audio and video editor, Scott Caro. We have an amazing Heart of Dating team who helps bring the show to you each week. I want to shout out Elena Gibson, our brand and community manager. Now, if you guys have never ranked us or reviewed us on iTunes or Spotify, would you consider doing that? It would mean so much because our podcast can get more discovered and more people can learn how to better date as Christians. Don't we all want that? We launch our podcast each and every week on Wednesdays, so we will see you next week.